could intelligent creatures do this? Okay, monkeys. You want a war? You've got a war.
Okay, I'm not going to be around the bush. You all know about the news with Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to pretend that I'm sad by his death. I mean, I kind of am. But I'm not going to pretend like it's some great loss for me personally. I did not know Charlie Kirk. Never met him. Never really made any attempt to watch anything of his. If I ever saw or heard anything of his, it was usually by accident because YouTube has these fucking crom damn ads. So from what I only have like couples of seconds of it before I skip the ad to glean something of his. He seemed okay from what I can tell. From the few things I've learned of him since then, since his murder at the hands of, I'll get to that next. He seemed like the kind of person who was the opposite of me. He at least was willing to make the effort to speak to these raging leftists. I would not give them the time of day, honestly. To me, they are scum. And we are talking like blue-collar leftists. We're talking scum fucks, cultists, people who have been wired in the head to think a certain way, and as far as they're concerned, you're the devil. It's a cult to me. I would not have the patience to talk to these people and not feel a sudden urge to beat them black and blue because of how annoying they are, and also how evil I found them to be with what they've done since his murder. But he at least made that effort, and I gotta say though, in the past I've complained about how, well, I think I've done this in the past. I can't remember if I've said some things that I'm going to contradict, so bear that in mind. But over the last couple of years, I've kind of noticed how, and this is going to seem weird, but how creatively bankrupt and lazy everyone is with stuff they make. Though in hindsight, it looks like I was wrong with how bad how the laziness was. Like, it turns out the J.J. Abrams of the world, they weren't just content with just copying and pasting old movies. It seems now we have to have a repeat of past fucking decades. Like, I remember saying this to a buddy of mine, John. We were talking about Kirk's murder a few days ago, and I was like, I feel like we were in a repeat of the 1920s, the red fucking decade, and the 60s or maybe even 70s. And for context, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the 1920s, there was this stupid infatuation with that loser Karl Marx and Marxism. And there was some crazy shit going on. Like, back in those days, you had, like, communism, Marxism, it was popular in certain circles, maybe certain leftists, but it was definitely popular under certain Italian immigrant groups, like, I can't even think of an example off the top of my head, and this resulted in eventual terrorist attacks. I don't know if there was murders, but there was some terrorist attacks to the point that I think this was around the same time the Palmer raid happened, or before or after, shortly, but it ended with a bunch of communists, non-Americans, I guess. Also, this led to that piece of shit Woodrow Wilson signed the Sedition Act, but most of these commies were basically put on a ship nicknamed the Red Ark and sent to Russia. It's like, oh, you want to be a communist? Have fun in Russia, comrade. Fuck off. Kind of wish we would do that now. There was that. Then after this, we had the Wallstreet bombing attack. If you don't know what that is, go look up King Trout Wallstreet terrorist attack. You'll find out right away. The difference is with that one, they never found the fucker who did it. The only thing that and this have in common is the guy who is alleged to have killed Kirk, and I'm just assuming for the moment that this guy is legitimately the one who did it. The only thing him and the guy, one of the suspects in the Wallstreet bombing, have in common is they both sound nuts. So the difference is The Wall Street bombing suspect who made lots of vague comments, which is why he was a suspect, and not even like, oh, I hope things don't blow up in your face one day. No, we're talking, he sent 2 letters to people telling them not to go to Wall Street on the day the bombing happened. He was a schizo. He was schizo posting before schizo posting was a thing, as King Trout pointed out. The guy who killed Kirk just seems like a loser. Let me see, I believe I wrote down myself a description here. A chinless weakling, which is kind of why it's a little surprising when we learned his backstory, but anyway. So there was that. Then you have the 1960s and 70s, where you had all kinds of crazy shit. Like, if you ever wondered why Dirty Harry's movies had some weird stuff in terms of what the villain was like, wonder no fucking longer. Also, they had those filthy hippies, those godless hippies. Fuck hippies. I don't like hippies. The 60s also saw murders. Like, you had Bobby Kennedy, JFK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. The more interesting of the 2 black activists of his day. Martin Luther King's kind of overrated, I'm not going to lie. And establishment, if you have a problem with me saying that, maybe you shouldn't be propping him up every 10 seconds then, because everything you prop up is boring. But so it kind of feels like that, where it's kind of like Wes Craven one time said, like, it felt like just fate had this drunk fate had blood in its eye. I was like, yeah, it kind of feels like that. Like, every 10 seconds there's some crazy shit going on. And I have to ask, what the fuck is going on? Who upstairs did we piss off? What did the demiurge decide to prove he was real or something? Or did God was like, you know what? Time to prepare the morons. Well, not the morons, but yeah, you get the idea. It's really insane. So there's that. The killer is a chinless weakling, as I said. There was a brief moment where I heard he might have been a furry. Here's the thing. I really didn't give a shit if he was a furry. I really wouldn't give a shit what subculture he affiliates with. Although, admittedly, I find myself less and less liking furries as time has gone on before the killing. And also, to the douchebag who decided to say at a game convention while in his fursuit that the Republicans would hate him, let me see. Oh, yeah, no, I remember. The professional losers probably couldn't be bothered to care that you exist. I certainly despise you, though. That's how I feel about anyone who defends this crap. And especially if it's like, okay, furries, I didn't have a reason to hate you, but if you are going along with these raging leftists, then yeah, you are no different than the obnoxious pricks who left turds in that one pool. And, but yeah, no... And all the people who've been commenting since then have been making the idea of tolerance being a mistake seem more likely. Like, seriously, fuck these people. Antifa, as apparently this guy was a supporter of Antifa, affiliate. I don't know. I am hoping this puts them on a terrorist watch list along with neo-Nazis. Stephen King again proved he and George Soros find new and exciting ways to make me feel bad for the ghouls of Fallout. Because now whenever I'm pretty sure at one point, if you say the word ghoul now, they're going to think of these 2 douchebags. And I'm like, crom, damn it. Don't the ghouls of Fallout have it bad enough? Like, every time they leave the necropolis, they catch shit. And, but yeah, no, Stephen King made his comments. He said he basically was going around saying how Charlie Kirk was in favor of throwing stones at gay people or whatever, which... All the comments I've been seeing these fuckwits say about Charlie Kirk, just to slander his memory, I don't believe you. You are liars. You lie habitually. Either that or you repeat stuff and you never bother to do any fucking research. Although, I don't think I have much room to talk there. But apparently Stephen King got enough pushback to where he apologized. Stephen King, you demented old ghoul who the worst circle of hell is not good enough for, or is too good for, apology not accepted. Much like with the people who called for an amnesty for all the stuff that happened during the little scamdemic. Apology not accepted. You did this for years. The only reason you are apologizing is because you got pushback. I would say the fuck you goes double for Mark Hamill, but I haven't heard him say anything yet. But, yeah, fuck these people. Fuck Darius, whatever, that stupid Brooklyn comedian. I hope he catches some shit. But on the plus side, there is one silver lining for this massive pain in the neck we are now suffering with. And, no, I'm not meaning that as an insult to Kirk if you're going to be that way. On the plus side, in death, Charlie Kirk at least did me a solid. He spared Red Hood from being violated by a Transformer. There's the only silver lining in all this for me. Like, yeah, no, it's just pathetic that this is... And the fact that not even an hour after he was murdered, you had these ghouls coming out and saying how they were glad he was dead, how his kids would hate him when they grew up. I'm like, no, fuck you. Fuck each and every one of you. And the fact you are getting repercussions makes me happy. Like...
You see them sometimes, walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
You mean like Democrats?
I have so many different ways of looking at this. Like, there's one part of me that just wants to repeat the old Latin phrase, and I'm probably going to butcher this. Cedate eos, novet enim dominis qui sunt eos. If you know what that means, good for you. If you don't know what it means, it's... Norm Macdonald has an English version. Or not Norm Macdonald, the guy who had a radio show, he got a... Rush Limbaugh, that was it. Rush Limbaugh. There's also a version of it in Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. Good use of it.
Sinners will be allowed no quarter. Kill them all. Let God sort them out.
Anyway. The other part of me is thinking, is remembering that whole by the rivers of Babylon we wept. There we sat, and you can... I was going to read this aloud, but no, screw it. Then there's another part of me that's thinking like Samson. With an ass's jawbone, I want to make asses of them, and also let me die with the Philistines. Because at this point, I consider these lefties Philistines. They are that level of evil to me. Kind of like the Canaanites. Or Canaanites. And then the last part of me is just thinking, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. Just walk away. Fuck these people. Let the chips fall where they may, with every one of these fuckwits suffering some ramifications temporarily, because I highly doubt people are going to remember this after a year or two. People are very fickle that way. It's kind of disgusting. But, yeah, no, the only... maybe I'll come back to that later. And the way people on the left who have been calling everyone on the right all these horrible things for years now, the way they reacted to Kirk's death, which is either gaslighting, saying Kirk brought it himself, or trying to blame Trump somehow, they can go fuck themselves. Pelosi, when she had the gall to say, we cannot take responsibility for our rhetoric because it wasn't their intention for violence. Like, bull fucking shit, it wasn't. What was that black bitch's name who was like, if you see anyone from that party, go harass them in a diner? No, fuck you. Fuck each and every one of you. And would I say it shocks me that these people are about as good as accepting responsibility as women is? No, responsibility is their kryptonite. Consistency means about as much to them as sobriety does to an alcoholic. It's something to avoid. Fuck them. And if you're one of the lefties who are raging that you're suffering the consequences of your mouth writing a check you weren't ready for, and saying like, I've lost my job, I have nothing now. What was it you dipshit cunts like to say as an excuse? What the apologists like to say in defense of the hippies? It wasn't that bad. Okay, then. Well, this isn't that bad. You can always find another job. Oh, wait, that requires you to be useful and not, well, about as useful as a cock-flavored lollipop. Ugh. And I'm not gonna lie, I do feel kind of bad for the father of the piece of shit who shot Kirk. Because he had to... I'm pretty sure he turned his own son in. That had to suck for him. Like, I'm pretty sure he is now wondering the same thing to himself that Mark Hamill's dad was wondering to himself and his wife. Sue, where'd we go wrong? The difference is this guy has to now live with the fact his son is a coward and a murderer. Like, God. That poor man. And I don't want this kid dead, for the record. No, I don't. I did it first. Now I'm like, no. Death? That would be too lenient of a punishment. No, I want him dragged into court. I want him put on trial. I want him to be given that day in court, convicted, and given life in prison without parole. But not just that. I want every day of that life in prison spent in solitary confinement. Just given enough food to survive. Like barely the bare minimum. And have his sanity collapse in on itself. Suffer a singularity bomb implosion. Until the day he decides, fuck it, I refuse to eat. I think I'd rather die of starvation than stay like this. Like, no, yeah, some things are worse than death. In my opinion. But that's just me. I don't want blood for blood. Well, actually, that's a lie. If we're talking like you just want to draw first blood or, I don't know, punch one of them, I'm not saying it's a right, but I can't say I'm really going to fault you for it. These people are obnoxious. These leftists who have done this for years, they are scum. They are pieces of shit. They have done this. They have done this for a while, and now that someone has been murdered and they laughed about it, and they are suffering the consequences of their own actions, I feel no sympathy for them. They got what they deserved. I hope they get more. Or at least until they learn how to shut their fucking mouths. Either that, or we could do what Sam Hyde said to do, just electroshock therapy till they learn to shut their mouths. Actually, no, that would probably be a bad idea. That is kind of... And if the Republican Party is going to come to this and say, we can't seek vengeance, we're no better than them, no, fuck you. Republican Party, you are the party of losers. Factually and judgmentally. Your whole losing with dignity bullshit is why the Democrats have gotten as far as they have with their evil. The Democrat Party, anyway, I have seen some Democrats say, I was a Democrat until Charlie Kirk's murder. Keyword was. Those Democrats, if that is a case of you are full on just fuck the left at this point, I feel free, I really do. You were basically in the same position my grandma was in her final days. You were having your Ronald Reagan moment, because he also used to be a Democrat. Hell, he still was in some parts. He still carried some of the bullshit over to the Republican Party. But, yeah, no. I want justice. I want there to be some form of justice and punishment for the people who brought all this about, because leftoids, media cunts, no, you, to me, are just as much responsible, because your institutional brainwashers, they may have wired his brain a certain way, but you were the one constantly saying how evil his side was, how vile they are, how they're going to make this place into Nazi Germany. I do believe you are responsible for your own actions and the consequences of them. So no, I think you are just as responsible as he is. The difference is he pulled the trigger, and more so. And also proved not to be a stereotype of the modern leftist douchebaggery, but that's just me. And when I was kind of just dwelling on this, I was thinking of some things I would say. There was one passage I wanted to use. As I found it fitting. Charlie Kirk was a religious man, Christian and all that. A better Christian than me, I would wager. But here it goes. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Do not let me be put to shame. Do not let my enemies exult over me. Do not let those who wait for you to be put to shame. Let them be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. Make me know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all day long. All the day, amen. And that's more or less my sentiment, is just... don't stoop to their level, as weird as it feels to be saying that. I can understand wanting revenge. I do. Because I hate hypocrites. And the left, they are an unremittent, unmitigated den of hypocritical, venomous snakes. But do not kill them. Don't. Because if you do, that could actually help them more than you might think. It's not even like it's because it's wrong. It's because it's counterproductive to making them stop. That's kind of just my feeling. I doubt anyone listens to this, so probably wasting my time here. But yeah, no, Rip Charlie Kirk. He was a guy who, he was there. He existed. That was about it. It's kind of like with a lot of other people, I could say. Like Destroy All Humans is a game. It was there. I was aware it existed, but I didn't really give two shits either way. And that's more or less my thought on this, is just rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, and may his killer be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Yemo hid and all that, and Requiescat in pace.
Resist this.